better and better and better and better and better. And this is throughout the years. I am so thrilled to be joined here today by Patrick and Jade, all the way from up in Portland, Oregon, and I'm all the way down in South Florida. But, we're meeting in the middle in this virtual space. And I appreciate each and every person joining us today. And of course, Jade and Patrick. Hello, both of you.
Hello, hello.
What's happening, Laurie?
Oh my gosh, it is a great day when I get to spend it with you guys. And what I'm talking about is the amazing Patrick Siver. He is the founder and auctioneer of G Events LLC. And Jade was in her previous role as a development director at Hope Chinese Charter School. We have videos, we have lots of tidbits, and we are here to talk about their event. And these two have been working together for quite a few years for fundraising. Patrick is a professional in the area. Jade has been running the events galas at the school for many, many years, and she has since pivoted her role, but she has done a tremendous job during those years. So we are going to give you an opportunity to chat with us. This will be different than our ordinary webinar with straight up slides. We're hoping for this to be interactive and us have some conversations. Auctria is excited to celebrate 15 years in the industry.
Wow.
Patrick, do you notice a different number on this slide today?
Yes, I do. Absolutely. Look at there. 15 years, 1.7 billion with a B.
Yes, it was 1.5 last time I counted, and we did a recount this week, and we're at 1.7 billion.
Impressive.
For us, the organizations and the change makers out there, you guys are the heroes and have done it all. But Patrick, you want to give us a little bit of background about you and Jade, and then we'll move on to an agenda?
Yeah, sounds awesome. I'm just so honored to be joining you again, Laurie. As always, a huge fan of Auctria, as you know. And I think of all my clients, I probably have 3 or 4 of them that are not in Auctria, but they're working their way to it. So it's just the most robust platform in the market, I think, and it does such a wonderful job for our clients. So it's fantastic. I've been a benefit auctioneer since 2012, after being a volunteer benefit auctioneer for a couple of years for my kids' school at the time. Got the bug, and next thing you know, I'm off to auction school and hold my BAS, and it's just been fabulous producing events in the Portland area in the Northwest and occasionally in other parts of the country. And it's awesome to join you guys today, especially with one of my favorite clients of all times, Jade, from Hope Chinese Charter School. The Xinhua Gala that she's produced has always been a wonderful event, but to see its evolution and growth in the last couple of years under Jade's leadership has been outstanding. So that's all I can say.
Shall I share a bit about myself as well?
Yes, please.
Sure. So, prior to working with Patrick at Hope Chinese Charter School, I had worked for several different nonprofits. Usually, it was all distributed asynchronous work. And I did everything from, websites and supporting email newsletters to content creation. And of course, if you work at a nonprofit, it doesn't matter if your role is fundraising, your role is still fundraising. And so I got to be a part of a lot of different fundraising efforts for different organizations, but then coming to Hope became my main focus. And so just for some context, our school is a nonprofit school that isn't fully funded by the state and needed to fundraise about $500,000 a year by the time I got there. And so the gala was our biggest fundraiser of the year, gala and live auction. And Patrick was huge in helping me understand Auctria and understand how to ensure the fundraising at the gala is working really well. So I'm excited to kind of share some of the things that Patrick and I have worked on over the years, three galas, and how Auctria actually, I can even share a little bit how Auctria helped us with some other things on occasion outside of that main event. So
Awesome. Thank you, Jade. I appreciate that. So
Yeah.
this is kind of our loose agenda that we're happy to chat about. Go ahead, use this chat as our conversation point here. We are a fairly large group, so I can't flip this to meeting, but happy to chat along with you. We're going to talk about party goers or givers, head of the class, the auctioneer. We're going to talk about preparing your class, preparing your audience to give, designing the room for participation. We are going to focus on what matters for the honor roll, which is revenue, of course. We're going to check out the report card for your data, and we're going to talk about fundraising beyond graduation. And these are just kind of loose topics. We're trying to have a little bit of fun here since it's May, the end of school season. But before that, I wanted to play a video. Just sit back and relax. It's about 90 seconds long. But I'm going to play this back again later, and I'm going to ask you if you observe anything different in the video from this moment that we're playing it to after we have this conversation. So I'm going to hit the go button on the video, and I'm going to hit mute on my audio so you're not getting any feedback. So give me a moment here to hit the go button.
A night to remember starts long before the doors open. The Hope Chinese Charter School, like thousands of fundraising events, begins here with ticket sales, sponsorships, and online donations, all powered with Auctria. It's never been easier to support a cause. Check-in is smooth. With Auctria, payments are seamless, bid numbers are assigned, and guests are ready to raise their paddles. This is where the room comes alive. Laughter, competition, and generosity in full swing. The energy in the room builds as guests take part in dessert dashes that turn into friendly competition, and high-stakes golden ticket draw that could send one lucky winner home with an exclusive prize. The highlight of the night? The live auction. The live auction is a fast-paced, exhilarating moment where bids fly, the auctioneer keeps the energy soaring, and each winning bid means more funds raised for the cause. And then, the heart of the night. As guests watch a powerful story unfold, they see the direct result of their support. They help fund scholarships and change lives, turning generosity into action. This is what impact looks like. Let's make your next event unforgettable.
It was a fun night, Jade.
That was a fun night.
There were a lot of fun nights that you guys have. That's just one single evening, right?
Yes, yeah.
So the first part I wanted to talk about is spotting the fundraising, and we just ran that video. But let's go ahead and move on to the first topic. We're talking about party goer versus giver. And here's just a little image to kind of set the scene for that. Jade, Patrick, let me just throw this out to you. What does this mean, party goer versus giver? What does that mean in your mind? And then give us a little bit of the evolution on what happened over, the last 4 or 5 years to modify the audience's understanding of those terms.
Jade, you want to fire us up there? Because you had so much to do with it there.
Sure, I'll start, and then you can help with the 4 or 5 years part, because you saw a huge evolution of this as well. So, party goer at Hope, in our community, there had been a lot of parents' excitement and energy, because of course they want to help the school succeed. And a lot of times how they spoke about coming to the gala was in terms of what people would get from it. Oh, you're going to have a dinner and it's going to be such a fun event. You'll see other parents. And so the mentality going into the event was, oh, this is fun for us. We get to dress up. We get to be social. There's drinks, there's dinner, there's the excitement of the auction. And with that mentality of coming to the event, you have a group of people who are coming to have a good time. And of course, it's wonderful that they've come to have a good time. And in my first year, I think what I noticed was a clear separation of some of the folks who came intending to give and some of the folks who came just focused on having fun and not really connecting the dots between what the purpose of this event was, and how they could support the school. And so with the second year of the gala, I started focusing more, my second year, just to clarify, my second year, I started focusing more on educating our attendees about the mechanisms of giving at a gala or an auction in case they weren't familiar, and focusing on the opportunity they have to support the school when they come that night. And so the language changed a little bit from, come buy a ticket and just have a good time. It wasn't, I guess you could say in the first year, there was more energy around, we just got to sell tickets. We just got to sell tickets. But your ticket cost is often covering the cost of putting on your event. And it's not necessarily where your biggest revenue is coming from that goes to your program, right? So that's the actual donations the night of the event, or the bid competitions the night of the event. And so much focus had been on just buy a ticket and come and have fun. People would buy a ticket and come and have fun, but then not give because, well, I already bought the ticket, right? I already gave. So in the second and third year of my running the gala, we focused more on not just coming to have a good time, but on how coming to give allows our community to see the power of what we can do together. So that had shifted people's expectations for the event, and it increased their participation in, the paddle raise and coming prepared to think about what they might want to bid on in the live auction. And they started asking me, well, how much does this usually go for? They're coming ready sort of with a framework for like, yeah, we're gonna go for this one. And I think that that creates an environment where people still have a good time and it's still a party. But as your organization, you need to get money from the event. So this last year was a great example of folks coming prepared to give, and we can talk more about that later. But Patrick?
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head there, Jade. You've done a wonderful job, especially coming out of COVID. As we talked about, the Xinhua Gala was a week of giving to support the school. You've been very consistent, different than a lot of times when you have a leader at the school who is working at the school and not just a pure volunteer on the gala committee, right? Mm-hmm. Your role was development, and so you made it really clear and consistent throughout the year that the Xinhua Gala is our biggest event of the year, and here's why it needs to be, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that was extremely positive. And we also, coming out of the pandemic, we expanded the event to not just be one night, right? Yeah. The event all of a sudden became a week-long fundraiser with the online auction, with the addition of the golden ticket raffle, which I know, some in our audience can't participate in raffles, but that's been a great revenue source for you guys in the past. Yeah. And so we literally provided so many different ways for the Hope Chinese Charter School community and beyond that initial parent community to get involved with the event in different ways. The focus wasn't just on ticket sales and trying to fill the room. And so your consistency and message has been outstanding, that this is a fundraising event that happens to be a great evening out. And really, we're raising our glasses to the success of the event, not just because we're having an event. That was really, really shown in your communication throughout.
Awesome. So where else did your messaging change? Was it in collateral, your social media, your flyers, besides these natural conversations that you're having with people as they come in and pick up their kids?
I think in any organization, you kind of, it's custom to your ecosystem, right? How you engage with people. So I had the benefit of, like Patrick was saying, being on the admin team as a development director. So for me, I'm actually giving the tours to prospective families. I'm giving the new family orientation presentation. I'm giving the volunteer presentation orientation. This isn't just random conversations. These are intentional times when the school is communicating to our community. And I would always find a way to mention the gala and the purpose of it and the meaning behind it. And I think also some of the things we'll get into, like our program, and as Patrick was mentioning, the week before we have our online auction on Auctria, and there's a lot of different things that are on there. Even if families aren't able to raise the pedal for $5,000, maybe they can host a ice cream social at their house and auction a party off for, a class of kids. And so our communication focused a lot on other ways people could make sure that this week of giving was a success, and maybe they're contributing something to the online auction and experience. They're letting people use their guest home, and then also making sure people understand that they can invite their broader community and network, their colleagues, their neighbors. We had an online auction item that was donated from someone who was a student's grandparents' former coworker. And so broadening our network and it can help it be a more exciting and successful event, and draw resources from beyond the immediate community and get more people involved.
Well said. Let's go ahead and shift topics a little bit. We're going to talk about head of the class, which would be the program. And also, Patrick, I know that you have led this quite nicely and set up the run of the show for the program also. Can you guys talk about how that may have shifted throughout the years, or where you've landed, what you've learned, what your best practices are, kind of things along those lines?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things that are pretty fundamental to the success of any run a show when it comes to a fundraising event like this. One of them, first and foremost, is that no one touches the microphone that doesn't motivate people to give. Okay. And that seems kind of blunt and kind of basic, right? But this is a fundraising event. So this isn't the night to honor the key volunteers. It's not to honor, any of those types of things. Let's have a presentation at school for that, or let's have a separate event. But this is a fundraising event. So very intentional with the syncing up who's on the microphones. We would traditionally have a message from the school, and that message would be pretty straightforward. It incorporates three things that I tell every client. Okay. First and foremost, thank everybody in the room for their past support. Whether they were in the room the year before or not, it is irrelevant. They want to be thanked in the future. Okay. So thank everybody for their past support. The second thing is, tell them what you did with their money since the last time you asked them for their money the year before. Okay. That illustrates that you are a good steward of the dollars that they are entrusting you with. And thirdly, tell them why you need their money tonight, right? That right there will say, hey, whether it's at Hope Chinese Charter School and we have a funding gap from what we receive as a public school and what we need to reach, or is there a special project we want to do, or do we want to continue offering extracurricular activities that are not covered by traditional budgets? Whatever that is, let's tell them why we need their money. As simple as those three things are, it will prime the pump, if you will, for us asking for the dollars that night. And so if we focus on that with our run a show, we can keep it concise. I think, Laurie, you know this for sure. Jade's experienced it. Today, I would say the fundraising component of the agenda that night, we really try to keep it to an hour. We also, and that includes both our fund a need or our paddle raise, our special appeal, all interchangeable terms there for people in the audience, and our live auction, right? That's going to make us, a solid hour program is going to be, let's say, 5 to 8 live auction packages and our special appeal. And that 1 hour, we can sprinkle around other activities and things on both sides of that. But that we have just found that hour is really when we can keep people's attention and keep their focus and do our fundraising, and then let's celebrate our success.
Patrick, we kind of adapted our run of show this year from prior years, just noticing people's energy from the first 2 years, the time of the night that they were the most engaged. And so I don't know if you want to just kind of speak to like why we chose to shift some things around. If I believe it was our sort of special appeal paddle raise coming after our auction versus in the first 2 years we had it before.
Yeah, and that's a great point. I think the majority of folks. I know for many years we were taught at auction school and benefit auction specialist training from the National Association would be that we would do our live auction and then we would do our paddle raise or our special fund of need. When we moved through the pandemic, we were doing live streaming and we moved all of our special appeals to the front of the program because there was no limit to when people could give during that live stream. There was a lot of auctioneers around the country, and I had visited with several of them. I know you've had on the Auctria stage here, Bobby D and some others, Laurie, who were adamant that we need to do that paddle raise first, okay? Regardless of when it was, that needs to happen first. And kind of the determining factor for me, and part of the reason that we made the change at Hope this year, we had used to do our paddle raise kind of 2/3 through the live auction pre-pandemic. Then we moved it to the front of the live auction. This year, when we came out of the pandemic, we kept it on the front end. Now we've moved it behind our live auction because our live auction is going to be under 10 items, right? It's going to be 5 to 8 is our goal. So we don't need to break up the live auction with the special appeal. But in this situation in particular, I've come to believe that there are different types of audiences, Jade. And I would say that some audiences are extremely philanthropic in their mission in the room. And what I mean by that is that they knew when they walked out the door that night to attend your event that they were going to allocate an X amount of dollars from their donor advice funds, and that was going to go to the appeal. Others are like, hey, I've got a budget for the night, and that budget for the night, if I can use some of that budget to get a vacation, great. Otherwise, I'm gonna give some at the paddle raise special appeal. So I find that's pretty common with a school audience, that they tend to be a little bit more budget conscious. And so I specifically will move that to the back end of the live auction for that reason, to let them, at the same time, I want to be really clear. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people bid $4, $5, $7, $10,000 on a vacation and not win it. Okay. And then come to the paddle raise and they raise their paddle at $500. Doesn't make them a bad person. It just reinforces my point that audience is working with a budget. Okay. And they're saying, okay, I've got different buckets in my home budget, which, I've got so much allocated to vacations. I've got so much allocated to charitable giving. And, if I can buy that vacation and support Hope Chinese Charter School, awesome, I'll do that. But I'm not giving my vacation budget to offset on the paddle race, right? So knowing your audience is really key, and looking at the way that they give and how they support over the years. I think that's one of the biggest advantages. You've said it a couple of times today already, Jade. You've done 3 or 4 of these at the Xinhua Gala. It's been going on, what was this year, 17 or something like that. And I've done probably, I don't know, 8 or 9, maybe 10 by now. I don't know. It's a good number. But having consistency in your auctioneer and knowing, because the committee turns over, right? Prior to you being in that role, it was always a volunteer committee, right?
Yeah.
And so the one consistent element was your benefit auctioneer, who had the history and was engaged in knowing your event and kind of knowing your audience, even though they change over the years as the school does. So.
And with that consistency, you're able to iterate and make improvements and learn and tweak. And I think that's important to be able to do if you want to not only grow, but also just maintain success that you've had.
Yeah, I think it's key. I call it fine tuning as opposed to rebuilding, right? If you have consistency in that team and that group of people that are involved in your event, you keep fine tuning it each year. And as opposed to saying, hey, I see sometimes where committees turn over and they want to put their flag in the ground, as I call it, and they want to completely revamp the event, regardless of whether it worked or not, right? But having that consistency in a team, being able to fine tune is crucial to your continued growth, which the Chinois Gala has illustrated that, right? We've done better virtually every year. So,
right. Yeah. And it's a good chance for me to talk about having your data in one software platform, and you can see that continuously throughout the years, be able to pull that and let the numbers guide that for sure.
Well, and that's the other thing that I would argue, Laurie, is crucial is, as an auctioneer and being, an admin in my clients' Auctria platforms has been invaluable to me in being able to see the trends and to also watch what's going on and how a group does and what appeals to them. I'm constantly running numbers to see what things perform, because I can give them some insight on what things we need to procure for our online auction versus our, what's the success of our online auction. One of the fun things that I've been tracking this last year or so has been the amount of items in the online auction that are purchased by people who checked into the event versus people who did not check into the event. I don't know that anybody ever really thought about that too much, but it is ridiculous. And ironically, Hope is the only anomaly in this. Okay. But you had 150 items in your online auction this year. 80 of them were purchased by people that checked into the event. Okay. In other words, they attended the event. 70 were purchased by people outside the room. Interestingly enough, you're the only one of my clients that's that way. Everybody else, the percentage of items that are purchased outside the room is higher than those purchased in the room. And that speaks volumes to the fact that people are finding different ways to support the event, right? And that's also less money that the people in the room have already put out before they got to the paddle raise, before they got to the live auction, right? So being able to study that data, I hear a lot of auctioneers talk about data. I'm not convinced so much how they're accessing it if they don't have access to the software platform.
Great observation. I'm going to shift over and talk about designing the room. And you watch the video passively, and then when you watch it back, you'll see a little bit of a different view probably. I know you guys spent a lot of time talking about designing the room, seating the individuals that come in. Jade, Patrick, you want to kick us off on giving us a visual of this room, your rooms in the past, and how you strategically manage that?
Jade, fire up, and I'll circle back on anything.
Okay. Well, the example here, this is of the 3 years, we only did 1 year where the stage was in the center and the room was in the round, which is the image we have here. And that was very different for me conceptually. What I liked about this was when our goal is to try to ensure that our most active paddle raisers, based off the data that we have from previous events, right, and knowing who is going to be last hero standing paddle person who's going to be, right, we try to put those in very visible spaces in the room so that as a guest, you're seeing paddles go up, right? We don't want to hide those people in the back. We want them to kind of be positioned and spread out so that it feels like there's a lot of action going on. With this layout in the photo, that was a little bit different. But in the other 2 years where you had the stage at the front of the room, Patrick is the one who explains to me, like, kind of setting those frequent paddle raiser folks in a certain layout. So you've got like a V shape heading up toward the stage, and it kind of spreads out a little bit. So folks around the room are seeing the paddles go up around them. And another thing I'll say about like just designing the room is there's a lot of things that we could do, or maybe things volunteers would like to do to bring in some color into the room and some fun things. As much as I can, I like to use things that are reminding people of our ways to give. And so we at a school, one of the things that we're doing on our online auction is we're having student class art that's being auctioned off. So bringing in that art to decorate the space with a little sign that says, hey, don't forget to bid on this. It creates a fun environment, but the parts of the room are also part of donating. So
Yeah, no, you do a great job with that, and Auctria makes those display pages so handy there, where
little
we can
QR
have something
codes.
bidding it online, yet we can display it in the room. And I'm seeing more and more of my clients will display some of the premier online auction packages where things are better seen than they are maybe on a two-dimensional or single-dimensional image on a website, right? But Auctria is the perfect platform for placing all the information, and then a QR code that'll take them right to bidding on that specific item in the room. The other thing I would say, Jade, you're right on about, we talk about putting the bidders closest to the stage. And I want to share with our audience to give you a visual why we recommend that. And in my mind, maybe somebody has a different opinion, but in my mind, when I have my most active paddle raisers, bidders in the front, that implies that everybody behind them will see those bid cards go in the air. Okay. If you put your highest spending table or your most active bidders in the back right of the room, nobody ever sees their bid cards go up, right? And so when we can show that it is popular to raise your bid card, unfortunately, in many ways, we're kind of sheep, right, Laurie? And as soon as they see bid cards go up, all of a sudden you want to be in the cool kids and you want to raise your bid card. And so always put your most active bidders where they are closest to the stage, not because we want to give them priority, but really it's to motivate others in the room that, hey, it's popular to raise your bid card. I want that emotion. I want that feeling. Because as we say all the time, every bid is raising money for our nonprofit.
Yeah, and this year we had a table that was full of brand new families. Their students just joined the school. And so I made sure I put them kind of in between a little triangle of active tables. So this is their first year. I'm thinking about who is going to be replacing those big donors 6-7 years from now. And it's these new families who are coming in. And so having them see that for their first event and that be the, standard of like activity and participation for them, I thought was important. And hopefully, 5-6 years down the line, it's going to be those families who are the ones that are needing to carry a lot of the donations for the school when the other families have graduated out.
Right, absolutely, and that's well said, Jade, because we have to. It's not just about that night. You got to be thinking about how you're going to be seeding the future, right? That first event or that big event is really the starting point for those donor relations. So that's great insight.
Would you split those people amongst other tables and put them at bidding tables perhaps, or do you think they're better off together as a unit and kind of as a cohort, kind of grow up together, not to use
Our
they're
communities,
obviously adults.
yeah, our community is a little unique in which many of them actually buy a table so that they can sit with parents of kids that are in the classes together. They've gotten to know each other, or they're buying a table because they're bringing their colleagues and coworkers, and so they're wanting that to be sat with the folks that they've invited. When we do have individuals or couples purchasing tickets, then I do try to think about who might they know or have a connection to. I can see who's what grades their kids are in, but I also would think about, would it make sense to put them with this particular family who has 2 spots at their table, and that group is going to be pretty active. Most of the time, though, I think table sales has been popular for our particular community.
Awesome. Hey, there's 2 quick questions that came in on the chat. First one comes in, and I think Laura may have dropped off, but she said she will listen to the recording and the replay. When you typically end the online auction, and this is related to your conversation that you had a little earlier, Patrick, when you typically end the online auction in relation to when the live auction starts?
Yeah, absolutely. And the online auction, it doesn't surprise Laurie, my response here. I may not be the conventional answerer here. When we started moving to online auctions, I was pretty adamant about reaching out to my brother and other asset classes in the auction industry that had been producing online auctions for 25 years very successfully. Okay. And there was, I asked them for best practices, and there were several that they provided and were consistent across the country that I saw. And one of them is that you remember it's an auction, okay? And an auction is fun when people are bidding, okay? So the idea of closing an online auction on a Saturday night at 7 o'clock, like you would have a silent auction in the gala environment, makes 0 sense to me. There is a reason why those people are online and not at your event, right? So why, they've got other commitments, or for whatever reason, they're not there. I'm pretty adamant if we have an event that ends, about the only night that I'm sensitive to is Sunday night, which we tend to be doing more. I think I did 7 Sunday night events last year. If it's a traditional Friday, Saturday night, even a weeknight, a Thursday, a Wednesday, I will close the online auction the following day at noon, okay? And that allows everybody to go home from the gala, and you can reach out to those people the next morning, and you can also reach the people that were not in the room the night before, okay? And you can motivate them with some of the tools in Auctria, whether it's a custom email, whether it's a texting. The other thing that I've really got to like is the notification feature in the bid monitor that you have, Laurie. I really like that notification feature because there's no cost associated to it. We can populate a message on people's app, which I see. And because of your website analytics, I watch it really closely, and I can go to analytics on your website, and I can see when I send a text, when I send an email, when I send a notification, and I can watch the activity pop really fast, and it is ridiculous, okay? And like I said a minute ago, every bid is raising money, okay, whether they win or lose, right? So the activity level is crucial here. So close it the next day at noon. The only exception would be Sunday. I think that closing it Monday at noon doesn't make a lot of sense to me with most people in the business environment. I will tend to close it maybe at 7 or 8 o'clock on a Sunday night, or maybe even 9 o'clock on a Sunday night. 9 o'clock tends to be the witching hour for a gala in general across the country. And so what I mean by that is you're losing money if you're in person after 9 o'clock trying to raise money. So I will try to close those on Sunday, even though we may have our gala event. The other thing I will do is if I'm working with a parochial school and people are going to be going to mass on Sunday, I may close that one at 5 o'clock on a Sunday as opposed to noon on Sunday. And Jade, you and I have been together at noon on Sunday after Xinhua Gao the last several years. And we've literally been sharing screen on Zoom and watching the activity. And because of bid extension and all the features in Auctria that continue the bidding and raising money for Hope Chinese Charter School, it's been ridiculous. So great question. I'm pretty committed to that answer, really committed. The other question I see there, Laurie, do you want me to address that one too?
Please.
What's your take, Adriana? Thank you for the question. What is your take on donate by text in this context? I think donate by text is great for people that are not in the room, okay? It's not good for people in the room. If I have 250 people or more in the room, I want them to raise their bid card. Peer pressure is the number one motivator in that situation. I can tell you specifically of an event where I was brought in several years ago where they had done envelopes on the table, okay? And the board was really divided about, one board member was like, we need bid cards, we'll raise more money. And the other board members were like, hey, we like to give anonymously. I tend to say they're hiding behind the envelopes, right? And so we were able to convince them. We moved it. We raised 50% more in the first year, and it's gone nothing but up since then. So I'm going to tell you, donate by text is a great feature. Auctria has it, right? I mean, you can donate by text with Auctria, just like you can bid by text with Auctria. But I don't like it in an in-person environment. I want those bid cards in the air. I want the energy in the room.
I agree.
And so no, I'm not a fan of that at all.
Yeah, if you're doing like a carnival or something and people are milling around in a very large area and there's not a set program, it just gives you another avenue. But for sure in this
area. Absolutely.
So let's go ahead and move on. Let's talk about honor roll and revenue multipliers and revenue opportunities. This is a huge area. I don't know if we can condense it down, but I have a couple images that I brought along, some from the video, some from some images that Jade and Patrick were kind enough to share with us, talking about how you're boosting those dollars for the people in the room. I'll flip through these two photos back and forth a little bit, but we've got our dessert dash here. You've got the piece of paper there. And then as the inset, when people are sitting at their table. And then the second image I brought along was the golden ticket piece. Are we hungry and do we want to talk sweets, or do we want to go on vacation and go around the world?
Well, let's start with golden ticket there, because there's both slides. I'm going to have you go back to the other one when we talk about and Jade, if I feel free to interrupt me, okay? The highlight to me on this slide right here is it says second chance, okay? And there's a couple of key factors. What we've done here is we created the golden ticket, which allows our one winner to choose from 4 amazing vacation trips. We're using consignment for this, okay? So our cost is fixed. We're only going to purchase one of those trips, right? And we try to keep them somewhat in the ballpark of the same price range. We'll sell I am adamant about limiting the number of tickets, okay? So we sell 100 tickets at $100 a piece. It raises $10,000. And a lot of times that can be on the website from the day we announce the date of the event and we start selling tickets. Let people go to the website and purchase their golden tickets. Of course, you've got to follow your local rules and laws and regulations. We have those in Oregon. There's certain things, right? But my point is, many times we have sold out that 100 tickets before our online auction even goes open the week before the event. And we're able in our live stream to spin the wheel, Laurie. I know you're a huge Wheel of Names fan. Spin the wheel. The only thing I do outside of Auctria, Rob, is spin the wheel. And when we do that, we will turn around and start a second one because we limit it to 100 tickets. People can buy as many as they want up to that 100. But what's powerful is, and you'll see this, they'll buy a ticket, you spin the wheel, if they don't win, they'll start the next one. They think their chance is going to be better that next time. This could be a $20,000 to Hope Chinese Charter School the last few years. It's awesome. I'll sell the balance of them from the stage at the live event, and we'll spin the wheel the second time at the live event. So anything to add to that one, Jade?
No, you covered it.
All right. Let's go back to that other one, because this is one of my favorite things of all times right here. Dessert Dash is a wonderful tool, okay? But one of my favorite things to always incorporate, and I want everybody on this webinar to write it down and don't forget it. I see Kasha's here. She did it great just last week for Tualatin Elementary PTA. Do you notice what's in the bottom of that photo, Laurie?
I see some carrots and some
kale. And kale. Okay. Now, if you were really observant and you were in the audience that night, if you counted the number of tables and you counted the desserts, they match. And then there's this one extra option, which is carrots and kale. Okay. And so what we do here is that as I'm making the announcements during the social hour and I'm promoting the Dessert Dash, I'm always going to say, make sure you bid high and that you don't get stuck with the carrots and kale. Now, literally, nobody's going to get the carrots and kale, but it makes for a good conversation piece, and like that. I mean, just get a bundle of carrots and put it on a bed of kale, and somebody thinks, "Oh my goodness, we've got to increase our bid at our table."
But
otherwise
Patrick,
we're going to get stuck.
We had a table where they were the last ones, so they just took the carrots and they brought it back to their table. and this year, and I went over there. I was like, no, you can. There's like, I think there was it was a honey baked ham cake that we had gotten, and I was like, no, here, you can have this, you know. But they were like, all right, I guess we're gonna eat the carrots.
We're dead last. Yeah, but I mean, hey, folks, this is a great revenue generator. I think on the low end, I might see, with an audience of 100 people, maybe it'll generate $1,000, right? When you think about, a smaller event, that might be a live auction package that, might be whatever. You guys have done great, whether you've had donated desserts, some of them, depending on your caterer and your venue, they may let you bring in home baked, others won't let you bring in home baked, but having these items, and people, for those who don't know, that card and the little inset picture there is the Dessert Dash bid card. What we do is we have the matching number of rows per seats at the table, and they put their bid number down and an amount of money that they are willing to donate in an effort to get closest to the front of the line, if you will, to dash for their dessert. And we usually put this in between our live auction and our paddle raiser, our special appeal, because I always like people to have a fork in their mouth when we start the fundraising, right? So we'll put it in that position in the run of show we were talking about earlier. And it's a hoot and a holler, and people love good old-fashioned Dessert Dash, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think your ube cake went for the highest in the first, if I recall correctly. Does that sound right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was going to look real quick as I'm in Auctria right now, and I can go and look. Our leading table this year was $2,400 to be first in the Dessert Dash, and you raised $17,000 with your Dessert Dash this year, Jade.
That was amazing. Yeah, that table was intentionally gunning for being the top table. That was what they told me.
Well, and another piece of advice for our folks. I know there's a couple of auctioneers here, but a lot of chair people also. Another word of advice is, a lot of times when I'm making the announcements and the instruction right before we break for dinner service, I will intentionally say, hey, in case you were wondering, last year's top bidder was $2,400. So if you're planning on making sure you get the dessert of your choice, there's your benchmark, folks. Bid high, bid often, and let's have some fun. Make sure you don't get those carrots and kale.
And you just gave me a perfect segue into the report card. How often are you checking in on the status of the event fundraiser, not only before, but during the event itself? And how are you managing that from the front of the room and accelerating the, paddle raises and trying to, push people into higher brackets and higher giving? Because I know, Patrick, your team is constantly on top of everything that's happening in the room and feeding that to you, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And the Auctria admin app is a tremendous tool, and I'm constantly walking around during the social hour and seeing how many more raffle tickets we have to sell, how many more bottles of wine do we have to sell, because the inventory numbers are in there, and that will prompt me to make more announcements about that, right? So, it's constant. I say regularly with committees, I would like to start with your Auctria dashboard at the start of every meeting, okay? And the first thing I'm going to show them, Laurie, is the inventory numbers. This is the inventory we have in our online auction. This is the inventory we have in our live auction. And this is relative to last year, okay? This is where we are pre-commit with cash donations versus last year. This is where we are sponsorship-wise versus last year. Those, if they're at the top of the agenda for that committee meeting, it will set the focus and it will get people thinking about those elements, Laurie, and not about what color the linens are and what color the centerpiece is and how am I going to sell 27 centerpieces that nobody wants at the end of the night for $20 a piece. Okay. No offense. I shout out to my buddy Kate at Olshev and the amazing online centerpiece auction we had during the event this year was the most phenomenal idea that I've seen in years. And it generated a bunch of money for them. And that was fantastic. But traditionally, that's the only committee meeting I don't attend is when we're talking centerpieces or linen colors.
It's so nice that you get to skip out on those, Patrick. I love that for you.
I love that for you. Great. So shifting over to beyond graduation, after the event happens, you're talking to your audience about the why and the follow-up and talking about where those funds are going. Correct, Jade?
Yeah, I think that it's really great for me to see on Auctria how the event did really like right away. I mean, Patrick and folks haven't even left the room and said goodbye for the night. They're wrapping up and we're already talking about the numbers, But it's important for me to start to craft that follow-up message and put in this is what we raised with the thank yous, the reaching out to folks to say thank you for coming, thank you for donating, thank you for participating, with just the broader sort of state of the fundraising year email that goes out to all of the school, and it's also following up with our staff. I mean, at Hope, we've got admin team and teachers, and a lot of them have also donated something, an experience, a teacher experience to the online auction, to the events. It's important for me to show them the numbers, show how their contribution helps to make a difference, because it really creates that ongoing sense of, gosh, this is really exciting to have been a part of it, and gosh, I really want to do this again next year. I still want to be involved. I think celebrating the success of your fundraiser with real numbers from your event is more meaningful. It feels more concrete, and then it sets you up great for next year because people walk away feeling so positive about what we just did together. And then when you come back around for that ask next year, that's what they remember, right? And so I think that follow-up piece is really important.
It's huge, Jade. And the only other thing, because we had that question earlier about closing your online auction, and I said the day after, and one of the reasons that I like that a lot is that people aren't standing in line after they've had a wonderful evening at your event waiting to pick up their basket of bath salts. Okay. And the more fabulous thing is that when they come to pick up those items, okay, at your school, at your organization's office next week or whatever it might be, now everybody's fresh. And for someone who has been Jade's position as a program or development director, now all of a sudden she's interacting with those donors in a fresh state, right? And she can actually say thank you, and she can set the table for conversations moving forward to help grow that person's support of her organization. So don't underestimate that opportunity.
That's big. Yeah.
That is an incredible way to put that into perspective, because some people get so caught up in that. They're like, oh, now we have this stuff we have to get rid of. And it's like, no, that's an open door.
That's a very open door, Laurie.
Hey, I'm going to hit the video again. And for the group that's still here, which is pretty much everybody, I'm going to ask you to put in the chat, did you see anything different in this video now that we've had this conversation? So I'm going to hit the go button on this, and then we'll do our final wrap ups here.
A Night to Remember starts long before the doors open. The Hope Chinese Charter School, like thousands of fundraising events, begins here with ticket sales, sponsorships, and online donations, all powered with Auctria. It's never been easier to support a cause. Check-in is smooth. With Auctria, payments are seamless, bid numbers are assigned, and guests are ready to raise their paddles. This is where the room comes alive. Laughter, competition, and generosity in full swing. The energy in the room builds as guests take part in dessert dashes that turn into friendly competition, and high-stakes golden ticket draw that could send one lucky winner home with an exclusive prize. The highlight of the night? The live auction. The live auction is a fast-paced, exhilarating moment where bids fly, the auctioneer keeps the energy soaring, and each winning bid means more funds raised for the cause. And then, the heart of the night. As guests watch a powerful story unfold, they see the direct result of their support. They help fund scholarships and change lives, turning generosity into action. This is what impact looks like. Let's make your next event unforgettable.
I think you're on mute, Laurie.
I am on.
There you go.
Curious if you guys found anything different watching it the second time, now that we've kind of had this conversation and pointed out some of the things that are extremely vital. It may look nuanced when you're buzzing through a little video like that, but when you're hearing the conversations around it, how that may be a nugget that you're taking back to your boardroom, where you're bringing back to your committee, whether you're bringing it back to your auction team. So go ahead and drop those in the bottom right-hand corner. And then we have our Facebook group, Auction Team Talk. It is the nicest page on Facebook. I know you hear me say that all the time, but it really is. Everybody that's running event and auction fundraisers. Patrick hangs out there quite a bit. I see him respond to people asking questions, making suggestions, things along those lines. It is a really nice Facebook group. So love for you to join us on our Facebook group, Auction Team Talk. And I see a couple notes in here. Easy to see those who are raising the paddle, QR codes on the table for live auction items. Love that. And then stay in touch with us, Auctria. We're on Instagram and Facebook and a whole lot of other places. And then if you want to stay in touch with Patrick from G Events, Patrick is active on Facebook. You know what? I don't have your Instagram on there, Patrick.
You know, I edited it on your slide this morning, but it's I'll type it in the chat. But it's
I was
Auctioneer
sorry.
And that's on Instagram.
Yes, and it is definitely worth the follow. I know you're always resharing different organizations' events, your wrap-up calls, your promotion stuff, and I'm always grabbing nuggets from Patrick. And Jade, is there? There you go, LinkedIn. Thank you. Good place to connect with Jade.
Yes.
We are at the top of the hour, and it feels like it's been like 3 minutes. I can't even believe that we've rolled through this hour. I appreciate each and every one of you for joining us today. And of course, a huge shout out to Patrick and Jade. I'm always wishing everybody bids that soar. Hope you crush your fundraising goals. Jade and Patrick, I'll give you guys the last word, though.
Okay, well, I appreciate you, Laurie. I think that my experience with working in development at Hope was so positive, in large part because not only is Patrick really great, but the system Auctria itself, we were always able to get support when there was something that we needed. If there was a major donor who something went weird on, they bid on something they weren't supposed to, fixing those things was so easy. Providing great customer service for our donors was so easy with Auctria, and I just really appreciate that. So thank you.
Absolutely. The most robust platform and delivers on every level. My buddies at Auctria, they're the best. And yeah, Jade, always a pleasure to spend time with you.
Yeah.
Look forward to continued success for the Xinhua Gala, even in your absence, because you set an amazing foundation, and it will be great. But love to help anybody that has some questions. Reach out. I see Staros is in there from just south of us in Sherwood area, Newburgh, and yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Let's have a great fall season.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.